We're so pleased to have everybody here this morning. It's a great day in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and because you are all here, it's an even greater day. We have some excitement to talk about this morning. I want to first introduce the head table, Mike Malaska, Tom Walsh, Mike Nichols, Kim Kaufman, and you will hear more from these folks as we progress. To start off this morning, I want to tell you that what we're going to talk about has been something that has been in the works for the last year and a half. The CVB travels to trade shows and travel shows every year, and about a year and a half ago we were at a show and we had the opportunity to meet this fine gentleman and one of his partners in crime, and conversations began about Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and why we would be a great site for an event. Well, those conversations have continued, and about a month ago Mike and another gentleman from the LPGA flew into Sioux Falls, and we were given the opportunity to host them overnight. And with that happening, we brought in a man who is no stranger to anybody in this room or to anybody in the region, Mr. Tom Walsh, head cheerleader of America, to the conversations, and all of that came together, bringing us here today. We, as a Convention and Visitors Bureau, are thrilled that this has come together. It's one of the things that, through our new bid district, has allowed us to compete for, and it's finally going to happen today. Clay Bach from our staff, sales manager, has done a lot of work on this to bring it together, and Clay, thank you for all of your hard work. And with that, I would like to introduce the gentleman to my right, Tom Walsh, who has really stepped up to the plate to work with all of us to make this happen. He's been a fabulous partner so far. There's no doubt he's going to be a great partner through all of this, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about our announcement today. Tom? Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. It truly is a great day. It's something that we've been working on as far as making things better in our community for families, kids, and individuals. Our mission at GreatLIFE is to enrich the lives of families and individuals through golf, fitness, and healthy lifestyle. Our goal is to be the best in guest satisfaction, value, and convenience in golf and fitness, and to really impact on the lives of families and especially the lives of kids. This journey through golf has wrecked my life. This is the third retirement I've messed up, and there's Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett does a little Buffett at his annual deal. One is never test the depth of water with both feet. I jumped in, and if you're gonna be a bear, be a grizzly, and you get one chance for a first impression. And so we've always been aggressive, and we love this hometown, and bringing this opportunity to Sioux Falls in our community is due to mostly Terry and her team. If it wasn't for Terry and the Sioux Falls Visitors and Convention Bureau, this would not have happened. So special thanks to you and your team, Terry. GreatLIFE has created something special. We've seen record numbers of families, record numbers of couples, record numbers of women out here. Our rounds and our revenues are off the chart, way beyond anything we thought. This model may be something that could maybe help, will definitely help the game of golf, but also families. We see a lot of people coming out after 5 o'clock in the afternoon with their kids and playing a few holes, or we see couples out on the course getting away from the TVs, the video games, the computers, and that. So we think we're going to grow this a lot more with a lot more courses and fitness centers and really make a difference. What we have committed to is in September of 2015, we're bringing the LPGA Symetra Tour event to Sioux Falls. It'll be a 6 days of activities, pro-ams, and then 4 days of competitive golf with some of the best golfers in the world here in Sioux Falls. And we'll be looking for homes to host some of these golfers and to volunteer and help out. So I want to say thank you, Terry, and from the PGA, I'd like to introduce Mike Nichols. Mike?
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everybody, for coming here this morning. Knowing that we had an early morning start, I figured I might start us off with a joke, and I don't like to use somebody else's joke, so came up with this. Lady golfer, a tourism promoter, and God walk into a Burger King. And
I like you already.
And unfortunately, that's as far as I got. But I figure I have a year to come up with the punchline. But I just want to thank everybody for coming here today. This is a very exciting time for us on the Symetra Tour. And before I jump into what the Symetra Tour is and what the Symetra Tour is all about, I want to echo a little bit of what Tom said about Terry and her team. I feel like as I travel around the country and meet with various folks and from convention and visitors bureaus, and I go to these communities, that it's not necessarily understood in the communities that these people represent what it is they actually do. And oftentimes they're better known outside their community than in their community. And we travel as the Symetra Tour to 3 conferences a year where we'll meet with 40 to 50 different communities interested in hosting the Symetra Tour. And of those folks we meet, maybe as many people as I can count on my hand will actually continue the process and follow up and do all of the things that are important for us to make the event happen. And Terry and Clay followed through, and really the reason that we're here today, as Tom said, is because of their follow through, because there's not many communities that we add each year to the Symetra Tour, so you should be really proud of the folks that you have representing you on the road and around the country bringing events to here to Sioux Falls. I also want to echo what Tom was saying about what they're doing here with GreatLIFE. I've been in the golf industry for 20 plus years now, and the number of initiatives that there are out there to introduce people to the game number in the hundreds. We at the LPGA have an initiative called LPGA Girls Golf that we partner with the United States Golf Association on, with the goal of introducing young girls to the game of golf, so hopefully they can pick it up when they're 6, 7, or 8, as opposed to in their adult life as many of us do. But a lot of those programs are incremental and make sort of small changes and whittle away at introducing new people to the game of golf. And when we were here a couple months ago meeting with Tom, I was probably driving him crazy because I was just picking his brain about this concept, because what they've come up with here at GreatLIFE is a complete paradigm shift in terms of introducing new people to the game of golf. When in the golf industry, the 2 things that constantly come up in terms of the challenges to introduce new people to the game, it's perceived as being cost prohibitive, and it's perceived as taking a lot of time, which takes people away from their families. And the model that they've built here and the growth that Tom has seen in year over year with this program is absolutely incredible. And it's a program that's here exclusively in Sioux Falls right now, but I think in a number of years this is a program that you'll see growing, because golf is not experiencing the same sort of growth nationally as it is here in Sioux Falls with this program. So it's a tremendous program, and I look forward to seeing it grow, because it's really important to us in the golf industry that we continue to bring in new blood into the game. So Tom, congratulations to you and your team for what you've done. So the Symetra Tour, what is the Symetra Tour? I'm sure there's a lot of people who came into this room today and the first thing they asked themselves is, what's the Symetra Tour? And if you didn't ask yourselves today, you probably asked yourselves that 2 years ago when Kim started playing on the Symetra Tour. But really the Symetra Tour exists for one reason, and that's to identify and prepare the next generation of LPGA Tour stars. On any given week on the LPGA Tour, there are only 144 opportunities for women from around the world, 30 different countries, to actually play on the LPGA Tour. And that may sound like a lot of people, but if we look at the NFL that kicks off this week, there's been a lot of talk about the roster cuts and all these veteran players or promising college players who didn't make those rosters. There are 53 people on each of those 32 teams. That's 1,700 professionals, and they have an additional 10 people on their practice squad. So that's over 2,000 people who count themselves amongst NFL roster players. And we think of that as the most elite of the elite athletes. Yet on the LPGA Tour, and on the PGA Tour, there's only 144 opportunities each week for these ladies from 30 countries around the world to participate. So the question becomes, what do we do? Where is that next crop of great players coming from? And that's what the Symetra Tour is all about. At the end of each season, the top 10 ladies on our money list on the Symetra Tour will graduate onto the LPGA Tour. Last year we had 15 tournaments. This year, this week actually, we're playing our 18th of 20 tournaments. And then next year, we're going to have, it's not yet final, but what is for sure is we'll have more tournaments than we've had in 27 years. So the Symetra Tour is really growing, it's on the rise, and we'll probably cap the schedule at about 25 events, and we may do that next year. And obviously Sioux Falls is now in that group of tournaments that we play throughout the country. And to put it in perspective, the kind of communities that Sioux Falls is now in the company of, we play in places like Phoenix, Los Angeles, Charlotte, Orlando. So these are much bigger communities than Sioux Falls. But I'm very excited to say that what we're about to do here in Sioux Falls is already starting out as one of our premier events next year when it starts on the schedule. Now, I do have to say that when I said that last night at dinner, Tom immediately said, well, this guy's good. He's a promoter. He probably says that in every town he goes to. But, which hurt my feelings, Tom, because for a promoter like yourself to call a promoter a promoter, that hurt my feelings. But at today's announced purse of $150,000. Minimum. Hey, that's okay by me. No argument here. So at our announced minimum purse of $150,000, this event will already be in the top 5 on the Symetra Tour next year. And in addition to that, there will only be 4 tournaments as of right now that compete as LPGA Tour standard events. And what I mean by that is our typical tournament week consists of 3 days and a 54-hole tournament. But this event, based on the magnitude of the purse and our expectations for how big this event is going to be, this is one of the 4 events next year that will play as a full 72-hole event, just like on the LPGA Tour, which is really says something for what we're expecting this event to be. And what that also means is that we're going to have, when we talk about those 10 players who are going to find their way onto the LPGA Tour at the end of next season, all 10 of those players, they may not yet have identified themselves at that point, but will be here in the tournament, because this tournament is going to have so much of an impact on who ultimately gets to the LPGA Tour that all of those players will be here. So we're looking forward to a great time. Now, all of that said, the one thing that I will caution is that to really make this event big and fulfill Tom's potential and vision for this event is the community really needs to come behind it. And if the community sort of looks and says, well, Tom's got this, we'll look forward to being out there for the event, it could be short-lived. So what I would just encourage people to do is, find ways to get involved, whether that means as a corporate partner of the event, in terms of housing our players. We'll need up to 100 houses where our players will stay when they're here for the tournament, as well as volunteers. We'll need close to 300 to 400 volunteers to make the event come off. So I say all that, and hopefully people in the community don't view it as an obligation. And in talking to Clay and Terry when we were first prospecting this event, everything I've heard about Sioux Falls is that people come behind and rally behind events like this. And I think when you look at the opportunity that hosting this event, that again will bring in players from 30 countries all around the world, it's a really unique opportunity that the residents of Sioux Falls have to get involved. In terms of, again, who will be here and who has been here in the past, some of the names you may have heard of that have come through the Symetra Tour: former world #1, now full-time mother Lorena Ochoa played on this tour and earned her way onto the LPGA Tour through this tour. Inbee Park, former world #1, currently world #2, as well as future world #1 Kim Kaufman. My personal story of how I first got to know the name Kim Kaufman is I was sitting at home, as I often am on the weekend, monitoring the leaderboards of our tournaments, and it's in July, and all of a sudden I see the winner of our tournament is Kim Kaufman. And I email one of our staff on site, and I say, "Who's Kim Kaufman?" And at that point, Kim had, as my staff member mentioned, Kim had just started with us. She had just graduated from Texas Tech and had not been with us for the season. I think it might have been your third event at that point. So, and she had played well the week before, but all of a sudden Kim Kaufman's winning a tournament and she hadn't been out on tour all year. But she made obviously an immediate impact, but didn't have the benefit, as many of the players did, of playing the entire season. As she was still finishing up her college degree, she was only able to play in 10 of our 15 events, didn't have the benefit of playing a full 15-event schedule, and managed to finish 12th on the money list. So she didn't qualify for the LPGA Tour by being in that top 10, but it was obvious to see if given the full season she would have done that. But she went to our qualifying school at the end of the year to try to gain access to the LPGA Tour, came up a little bit short of what we call full status, but was able to earn LPGA conditional status. And what that means is she would get into a couple of tournaments here or there, but they're very limited opportunities, and for the most part she probably devoted herself to making her way onto the LPGA Tour through the Symetra Tour. And sure enough, in the second event of the year, she won that tournament and was well on her way to eventually joining the LPGA Tour. But in May of this year, she did gain entry into, was that your first LPGA tournament of the year?
No.
Yes. Second. Okay, so she went into the tournament in Dallas, and by virtue of playing well and earning a finish tied for 4th, she was able to earn enough money at that point to become a full-time member of the LPGA Tour in one of those limited starts. And that means tied for 4th means that only 3 people beat her, and one of them was world #1 Stacey Lewis, and the other was Michelle Wie. So that's not bad company to be keeping. And since that time, she's finished in the top 5 again. She had another strong finish last week and currently counts herself at #9 on the money list. Again, 49 on the money list. Yeah, I gotta call it counting. 49 on the money list, but again, she's been able to achieve that in a limited season, only starting well behind her peers. She's already played herself into being one of the top 20 Americans on the LPGA Tour, and by the end of this year, expect to be in the top 100 players in the world. She's already advanced from about 380 at the beginning of this year to number 119. So it's, when we look back on what I was saying about how there are these elite players, Kim is amongst the elite of the elite players, and the fact that she's so familiar to you all, you may not appreciate how great of a player she is. But what I want to say is that in addition to being obviously a great player, what a great person she is, because as she went off to join the LPGA Tour and wasn't coming back to the Symetra Tour anymore, we obviously had this tournament in the works, and in the process I kept in touch with her and I said, "Kim, looks like we may be going to Sioux Falls for a tournament." She said, "Well, whatever I can do to help." And so maybe a couple weeks ago I said, "Well, remember how you said you're ready to help? I said, when's the next time you'll be in Sioux Falls? And she said, I've got a week off on the LPGA in the first week of September. And I said, well, if we had a press conference, could you make it? And she said, absolutely. So I think that not only I talked about what a great golfer she is, but what a great person she is and character. So I want to say thank you, Kim, for coming today. As well as being such a great ambassador for the Symetra Tour and LPGA. So with that, I'll ask you to come up and say a couple words.
Thank you, Mike. I'm going to have you come and talk about me more often. I am very, very excited to be here. I told him I had 1 week off, and he made this happen when I was here. As he said so kindly, you know, I started on the Symetra Tour, and I am now on the LPGA, and I owe a lot of that to the Symetra Tour. Something I hope that everyone understands is that this is not an event that's, I mean, it is fun, but it's not really just for fun. It is something that could possibly change the lives of many golfers just like myself. It's, you know, what these girls do for a job, and they've just, you know, they're going to come here and show it to you guys. So I hope that people, you know, Tom puts on the best event, and we all know it will be the best event, but we need to help him do that. As Mike said, we need volunteers, we need host families, we need people to come out and support it. That's what makes a great event. I've been to, as Mike also said, we go from New York to Orlando to LA and all these cities, and it's weird how there's just certain cities that put on a better event than others. And this here in Sioux Falls, even though it's in the Midwest and South Dakota, can be the best event. It just needs help from you. Tom is going to give us everything he has, I know that, and GreatLIFE is going to do everything that they always do to make an event the absolute best, but we need the support from Sioux Falls and from that community. And I think we'll get it, you know, I know we'll get it. We have a year to do it. But I'm so excited it's here, and it's going to be here quickly. Probably quicker than we imagined, but I hope everyone comes out and they realize just what a big event this is in the golf community and in the LPGA. So thank you all for being here and coming and supporting it, and I look forward to seeing all the support next year for it. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Kim is the product of Willow Run and Todd Colbin, his golf academy. We've always been blessed with great people, and when you have great people, you can accomplish much. We're going to do a minimum of 150,000. The record is 200,000. So my dear corporate partners, I will be coming to visit you and hopefully set a new standard for the Symetra Tour. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mike Malaska. Mike is one of our partners in the GreatLIFE and is PGA Instructor of the Year, heads up all the Nicklaus Golf Academies worldwide, and is Director of Golf Education for TaylorMade and Adidas. Mike, please say a few words.
Well, thanks, Tom, and people. This is such a great opportunity. I mean, when Tom and I got together over a little drink in Mexico, I'm sure you can find that hard to believe, but it was almost like just waves just took over, and both of what we wanted to do, Tom's commitment to the communities, mine to golf and kids and youth and what I've been involved with. So to be able to be involved with GreatLIFE and Sioux Falls and start this here and see the tremendous success that it's having in an industry that's going the other direction has been really exciting for me, and it should be exciting for the community. You should understand the value of this, because this is going to be looked on as one of the key start communities in basically, I think, saving the game, or at least giving it an opportunity to grow with youth. The other thing relative to these tournaments, the Symetra Tour is the LPGA. I work with a number of these gals that are coming up, some that are on the LPGA now, some that are just in college, some that are out. These players are that quality. Most all of them, if you gave them an LPGA card and let them go out there, they would be successful. It is so competitive, as Mike was saying. There are so many good players in so few spots. So what you have the opportunity here is to not only see some of the best players in the world, but to turn that into something as a community that you can hold on to. And golf is one of the few sports that, relative to charities and things like that. It gives back more than any other sport out there. I think all the numbers show where golf promotes communities and charities relative to any other sport is not even close. So you have the opportunity here, because these people and the Symetra Tour and that is growing, to come here and then to have Tom involved with it and GreatLIFE and what we're doing to promote not just golf, but healthy lifestyles and families back together and time spent. It's incredible what this can do for the community. So I'm very excited. Obviously, my name's on the product. The whole part about the fitness and the families and play everything and getting people out and giving them the opportunity. I spend a lot of time with the PGA of America, and like Mike was saying, there's a lot of really nice programs out there, and they get people involved and they make them start, but how do we keep them in the game? I got involved in the game because I went to a little 9-hole golf course and I was allowed to play 1 or 2 holes at night. That model's gone away. Well, now we've kind of got it back, and it didn't cost me anything to do it. If I would have had to pay even $5 to play golf, I wouldn't have played. I didn't have it to do it. So when you start looking at the potential of this, and then for you to showcase Sioux Falls with the Symetra Tour, it's a tremendous opportunity for all of you and for us, and I'm just excited to be involved with it. When you see people like Kim, young women with that talent, and all of a sudden springboard from the Symetra Tour to the LPGA, I mean, that's what this is about. And again, don't look at this as, well, it's kind of a second tour. No, no, no. These players are superstars. Believe me, within 3 or 4 years, somebody on that tour is going to be one of the top players on the LPGA. So it's a great opportunity. I'm excited to be involved, and I just look forward to it and all the things that we're doing with GreatLIFE. It's just, for me, it's been a dream come true in my career to be able to have a platform to do all this with. So again, thank you, and Tom, back to you.
I'll promise you, this will be the best event on the Symetra Tour. The way this community gets behind things is unbelievable. I don't know if all you know, but Sioux Falls per capita is #2 in the nation in giving. People take a sense of pride and get involved and take ownership of all the different charities and events in the community. We'll do pretty good, and I really want to thank our GreatLIFE team, our Willow Run team, and especially my sister Cindy, who does all the work and I get all the credit. So, thanks for joining us, and have a great life.